MSC Cruisecast is a Triple T production. Now, the Taste Try Travel team of Beth and Chris.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and happy Saturday morning.
Big Triple T weekend.
Triple T weekend.
Just starting it off right with the little MSC Cruisecast.
That's right. So we are, I don't even know where I was going with that. I was going to say what we were talking about, but
we have super duo.
Exactly. Of Chris and Beth.
Shape of.
I never get this right.
Three cheese pizza. You say form of.
Form of.
And you'd have something to do with the three cheese pizza.
Marinara. I don't know. I still don't know how to do it. I never watched that show.
I know how you don't know the Wonder Twins.
I don't know.
Everybody needs to know the Wonder Twins.
What are we talking about on this wonderful Saturday morning?
Well, let me tell you, Beth. You have a shout out.
I do.
Very first thing. I don't know what it is this week. We'll see.
You never know what it is.
I never know what you've got planned for our shout out. Then we have some Ocean K updates. Mm-hmm. What? Mm-hmm. They have announced some things going on.
Yep.
On Ocean K. MSC's got new things going on everywhere.
Poppin'.
And then we are going to, as the name of this podcast, Cruisecast suggests, we're going to go over what ship is right for a particular person who might be watching this.
Because I think
Cruisecast.
MSC
that didn't fit in the title, so I had to shorten it down.
MSC has such a wide variety now of ships. And people like to vacation different. So we thought we would go over.
Do we know how many ships MSC has?
22 ships currently. And then in less than 2 months, when World America comes out, she will be 23.
23. The big 2-3.
Yep.
That's a good year for me. When I was 23.
Oh, when you were 23. Okay.
I think Smells Like Teen Spirit came out as the big song. Seinfeld was the big show. This is dating me.
It is dating yourself, but Seinfeld's still a good show.
I'm sorry. It was Drake's new song came out. I don't know what I'm saying.
So you can't do that.
I can't even undate myself. I'm so dated because I don't know any of the new stuff. I'm so lame. Anyway.
We both are. That's okay. Let's start with this week's shout out. And to Chris's surprise, this is the second shout out ever to a building. Ta-da!
Did we do one last week? We did a building last week. So you've done 2 weeks in a row of building shout outs.
Yep. Now we don't cruise.
I can't wait for the lawn shout out when we get
you
to
never
lawns.
Know. This last week, MSC's brand new cruise terminal in Barcelona opened. And I haven't really been following too closely just because we don't cruise out of the Mediterranean. I knew that it was under construction, and it's another amazing terminal that has the LNG tanks there so that so their new ships can fill up. It has shore power, so it has like all of everything that the new terminal in Miami and the one that is going to have in Galveston. So all of their new terminals are going to have these like very high tech things. And Barcelona just opened this last week.
Excuse me, is it Barcelona or is it Barcelona?
I think it's Barcelona. I don't pronounce it that
Barcelona?
way. I don't pronounce it that way. No.
Come look at our new FIP here in Barcelona.
Stop. You threw me with that. So they're going to have like an official like opening ceremony kind of coming up probably next month or so. But I just didn't like realize, and I don't know if you guys realized too, that that it had opened already. So that's going to play just a little bit of a part into when we talk about the ships that cruise in the Mediterranean. So which would be a great little trip to do. We really want to do that too.
Well, it opened the same week as the Miami one.
It did.
So they got two big old ports, brand new ports opened, and two of the largest cruise ports. Yeah. So Barcelona is a huge one for the Mediterranean. And it's going to be really awesome now that MSC has their own terminal there because they have ships pretty much every single day. Almost every single day kind of going through there. So it's a huge port for them. Yeah. I don't know.
I want to go see it.
It doesn't look, I'm looking at the picture right now, and it doesn't look nearly as big.
No, it's definitely not as big
as the Miami one that opened.
Right.
I mean, this one just looks like kind of a regular size.
But it's
port.
very,
but it's modern.
Very modern. Yes, there aren't a whole lot of pictures yet of the inside of it. I'm sure we'll see them, but like I said, we don't deal with that too much just because we don't cruise a lot out of that area. So.
Right.
But it's still exciting.
Yeah.
It's still exciting. Movement is happening.
Okay. Speaking of things happening.
I got to get this up.
Ocean K is all sorts of news coming out of Ocean K.
Well, there's been some so for those of you who don't know, Ocean K closed last spring for a little over a month to do some major renovations, and those renovations really haven't stopped. So they've kind of been slowly doing things.
Right. They kind of closed it so that they can move the material and some more equipment so that they could work on it while it's open, because they obviously can't build everything in a month and a half.
And they can't, they can't close it long enough. So
and if they close it for 8 months or something, then that wouldn't work because
everyone wants to go.
You can't close down the best port in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
But for like the longest time, we haven't seen a lot of the things, right? So they've been doing some dredging, which you can see but you don't really when you're there on vacation, you don't really see too much of it. They've been doing some things like shoring up the shores a little bit more with more rocks. So a lot of unseen things have been happening, but lately everything's kind of building up to the World America. So we're starting to actually physically see more things happening, which gets us more excited.
This is phase 2.
They're still in phase 2
of Ocean K expansion. Mm-hmm. Phase 1 was
renovations, really.
Yeah, I was going to say phase 1 was building Ocean K.
Yep.
So that it could open.
Yep.
And phase 2 is expansion of Ocean K facilities.
So we're just going to kind of mention a couple things. One, we're seeing them actually physically build a couple more bars, which we knew that was going to be in the original phase 2 expansion. So we're seeing those actually happen. If you're on the island, it's kind of all covered. You don't really see too much because they've got the shading and stuff on the fences that kind of go around it. But those should be open very, very soon. So it's just going to give you more places to grab a drink, grab a water, which I think those are super important because it's so hot there on Ocean K. So more bars will help accommodate more people.
Lift your arms.
Me?
Yeah, you're gesturing on the table that I have the camera mounted on. It looks like an earthquake's going on.
Sorry.
I was why am I shaking?
So we all know that we don't want to wait when you're on the island. You don't want to have to wait to get a drink, even if it's a bottle of water. So definitely much needed to have more bars. So we're actually seeing that construction happening. The other exciting thing is
the buffet, the second Seekers buffet, I don't know if it's going to be called Seekers or not. Don't remember offhand.
Founders.
The second buffet on the island, which is located kind of closer to is this better? You can see my hands?
Yes.
Closer to Sunset Beach. So it's going to be on the left side of the island if you're looking at the island from the ship. That building has been built for a while. Hey, Stash. Sorry. Our dog is out there licking her paws, which... it's kind of annoying. So the building has been there for a while, right? So it's been there probably for at least a year. And there's our cat running around like crazy. But you haven't seen any kind of really like pouring the concrete for the patios outside of it. And now there's been some pictures on some of the Facebook forums of they're actually doing the construction inside. So they're getting like all the buffet little counters, whatever you call them, built, and then they're starting to kind of work on the outside too. That is most likely, it's going to be open for sure by World America, so by the beginning of April, but they're trying to get it ready to open just a little bit earlier. That way they can, like with all the things, kind of try to work out all the kinks before like all of these people are going to be there.
Problem with the ketchup dispenser, you can't be fixing that in the middle of of people like trying to get ketchup. You can't be doing that. There's going to be 3,000 people wanting ketchup.
More than that.
A ketchup dispenser that's clogged.
The end of the world.
Can you even imagine?
So we're excited to see that. It's not that it's going to be really different food. It's just going to make food a lot easier to access. But I can't wait because Sunset Beach is our favorite place to hang out. So now you don't even have to go that far to grab food. So there'll be bars, buffet, everything right there.
Right, because there was nothing at Sunset Beach.
There was nothing at Sunset Beach, but then the last 2 times we were there, they do have the bar there.
Right.
I think they have 2 bars, one on this one side, one on the other, but so that helps out a lot. And for those of you who aren't super familiar with Ocean Cay, Sunset Beach is the one that has the most natural shade, and they have all kinds of really cool seating, different chairs. It is a bit sharky there. There's
sharky. That's how it was described to us the very first time. There's no nets, so it is definitely more wildlife in the water, which we love.
It's a little bit more rocky to get in, but that's just our favorite. I can't wait to go back there and kind of hang out in some of the little Adirondack chairs and have the buffet right there. So that's super exciting.
That cruise, when we inquired about Sunset Beach, it was our first time at Ocean Cay.
Yeah.
And when we went to Nassau, we asked the MSC representative that was on the dock about heading to a certain part of town, and they said, yeah, you can do that. It's a little murdery.
I don't think they said that. That's a horrible thing to say. That did not happen.
I know, but I'm just saying, when somebody says it's like sharky, that's such a weird way to describe a beach. It's sharky.
Very funny way. Yeah. Well, that's how MSC.
So what you're saying is approximately 20% of the people that visit that beach have some sort of horrible accident with a shark.
No.
They're mangled. No,
you just can see the sharks there.
5% die. They get eaten by a shark.
All right. The last thing we're going to
all of that's untrue.
It's very untrue.
Just don't be scared of Sunset Beach. It's the most beautiful beach.
We actually haven't. We've seen manta ray there, but we have not seen.
I haven't seen any sharks.
We have not seen the 2 kind of resident sharks, Salt and Peppa. We have not seen them there.
Have not lived up to the sharky beach reputation.
It has not yet. And the last thing we wanted to talk about on Ocean Cay, this just recently came out in the last couple days, and this one I'm beyond excited for. So we've been looking forward to hearing something about this ever since they announced the renovations. So MSC Foundation put out a post Chris has the photo up here. And what we're looking at is some structures that are kind of right as you get off the ship. If you immediately take a right, there's a little peninsula, and there's like a dive shop there. We have never seen the dive shop open, but if you go right past the dive shop, there's going to be all of these new little buildings and structures, and that is going to officially be the Marine Conservation Center. So that is going to open on April 10th. Well, it might open a little bit before, but it'll officially be open for when Kitty. Geez, they're just all over the place today.
A little wild today.
So the Conservation Center is going to officially do their opening on April 10th. So that is going to be World America is going to be there for on their 3-day naming ceremony cruise, and so those people will be able to visit it for the first time. And it's going to be kind of a multi-purpose area. So there's going to be research and conservation. The center will serve as a base for coral restoration around Ocean Cay. They'll host experts conducting cutting-edge studies on coral resilience, I should say, and working on restoration projects to help relieve reef ecosystems. There's going to be education. Marine scientist graduate students will have the opportunity to gain hands-on experience. And then it's going to be a place where us as visitors can have the unique opportunity to connect with the work, exploring the challenges of marine life and discovering the innovative ways to preserve its extraordinary biodiversity. So it's going to be like a work-life visit kind of situation. So there'll be actual work going on there. Some people can go there to learn about this because MSC Foundation is doing a really great job about figuring out what coral will live in the temperatures of the water that's just a little bit higher, and then it'll thrive in that area. And then we also get to see what's going on hands first. And I think that is what makes Ocean Cay really special, right? It's not just an island where you go and play and have fun. It's there for a reason, and they're making a difference. So we're actually going to be able to see that. And
I'm really so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how, it's probably not going to be. What are you doing there?
Hold on. I had a bad bang day.
It was a hair drobe malfunction there. I don't know how extensive it's going to be,
right?
Just because it's, it's just a little island. It's not like a major university research center. So right. I don't know if it's going to be, something gigantic, but I don't care.
Well, exactly. And we don't know what the process is now because the public has never been able to see what they do.
I think it's just like 3 or 4 scientists that kind of work around there, and they have some assistants that help them and stuff like that. And whatever they put up that I think about what they do is going to be, I think, interesting. So I'm not expecting like a Disney ride.
Right. No.
Where you gotta get in and go through an aquarium and there's some things that they show. I don't expect that at all. It's probably just a couple some things for you to look at and see what they're doing.
If you see there's like a big center building there, and even if there's like somebody there where you can just hear what they're doing or talk to somebody or just gonna get any kind of insight, I'm really looking forward to that.
You think somebody's going to be in there staffing it and that would be great.
I don't know.
I didn't expect that. I just thought it would just kind of be just a few things about what they're doing and stuff like that.
I guess we won't know until we get there.
Exactly.
But we knew that was slated. We weren't sure for a long time exactly where it was going to be because they're still doing construction in the very center of the island. But I think this is a really great place for it. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to do some scuba diving. That dive shop will be open. We haven't heard too much about it, but I think it's in a really great place.
When you sent this picture to me, I thought it was the island that they're building.
Right.
And I thought, wow, they're going to do a lot of little construction out there. They're going to build that little island and then put a little causeway over to it. And then build a little marina next to it. That's going to be a lot.
Speaking of the new
we're calling it kind of like the new island, but I mean, people are all across the board about what is going to happen. There's a new kind of on the other side of the ship after it docks is kind of like everything they've dredged up. They're kind of building into a quote unquote island, but nobody really officially knows because everyone online, it's funny to read the forums because everyone online is like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a second yacht club. I heard from someone on the ship. And then someone else will say, no, it's going to be a place where you just have an excursion. Like, so everyone is so sure, but they all are saying different things. So
exactly, nobody knows for sure. They haven't announced it.
No one's announced officially. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're waiting to see. But it's getting a little bit bigger. It is getting bigger. So
I'm throwing my hat in the ring of it's going to be an excursion for yacht club. Like you can go over there and they're going to have some special things going on over there for yacht club that you buy. So you got your private area on the main island.
Or you could upgrade almost.
Exactly. They'll sell some sort of island thing. I don't know what they would do, but that just makes sense to me that they would do something like that because it can't be a second yacht club. It can't be. How are they going to get everybody over there?
Yeah, the logistics of moving people is not easy. It's not easy.
But ferry captain, I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, well, hold on.
Well, there you go. There's the ocean right there. They're not going to say that at the Marines.
So anyway, those are kind of some really cool updates. We know a lot of these deadlines are for when World America gets there. So we're getting closer and closer and closer. And some of these are starting to kind of wrap up and they're sending us pictures. So over the top excited about spending more time on Ocean Cay.
Exactly. Anything that they do to Ocean Cay,
we're good with.
I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Because I just love spending a day.
Can I tell you something really funny? Can I tell you something really funny?
There, yes.
So I'm on all the forums, for MSC and Yacht Club and all that. And every once in a while, someone will pop on one of the Ocean Cay forums and say, is there a pool? Are they going to build a pool? And like everybody roasts
Piles
them.
On.
Everybody roasts them because that is not something that MSC is doing. Is not a pool. Everyone's like, it's like the biggest pool in the world available. Anyway, it's just funny reading those comments. The ocean, that's what you got to swim in, the ocean.
I mean, I get people don't want salt water sometimes, and some people just have this fear of ocean life. Mm-hmm. I guess all fears like that are a little strange to people that don't have those fears.
Yeah,
but that one just baffles me. I mean, I want to be swimming with ocean life, so that whenever somebody says that, I'm like, you're missing so much fun. You're missing so much adventure and such interesting things out there to see and almost interact with. You don't really interact with them, but you know.
I think MSC's done a good job about like kind of quelling some of those fears because there's some areas that are completely like fenced off now. Because when we first went to the yacht club, there was not a rope fence or whatever they call it, and now there is a net. There we go. And the whole lagoon is netted off now. So
everything. Like I think Sunset and North. I don't think
Bimini Beach is not, and Sunset are not. But other than that,
not North. Yeah, the one on the other side of that, Bimini, right?
Yeah. North Bimini. So the whole lagoon is netted off. Yacht Club is netted off, and I think the Seekers family cove that recently opened is netted off. So there's definitely places if you don't want any wildlife in the water, there's places that you can go, and then there's places that you can go where there is wildlife. So I like that balance that they've done.
Yeah, because remember I remember the first time we went to Sunset and we swam up by the rocks and there was lobsters and crabs and all sorts of fish and
I was loving it.
Stingrays and we're like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So Anyway,
exciting stuff. Okay.
All right.
So
let's move on to the meat of this rib cruise cast.
Okay. I'm thinking it was back in 2022 when Chris and I had kind of said off, like, I don't know what kind of conversation we were having, but we're like, we want to cruise on every ship that MSC has. Remember that?
Yes.
And so it kind of has become a thing where we've been trying to expand out from the Caribbean. And so as we're looking forward to our cruises, what we want to do, we've started looking at the different ships. And like, for example, if you look in the Mediterranean, MSC has so many different experiences you can have depending on what ship it is. And so as we were kind of going through and looking at the ships, we thought it might be interesting for you guys, if you're interested in that, like what class of ships they have, where they kind of sail, and the different experiences that you'll have on them. So we have sailed on...
What ship do you think might work for whatever mood you're in for that cruise?
Because they're definitely different. Yeah.
They're all different.
Yes.
They really done a
big range.
A good job of separating these different classes and designing the ships differently, so you get a different experience on different classes, like big time.
Yeah. I think the Mediterranean is where you're going to see it the most, because that's where MSC started and that's kind of where they rule, right? That's where most of their the differences in their ships. Here in the US for the Caribbean, we tend to get some of the bigger ships, but we'll go into that kind of the details of where the ships are.
All right, you want to start with the oldest?
We're going to start with the oldest.
The oldest is the Lyrica class, right? Mm-hmm. And that debuted in 2001 with the Harmonia, which I think is funny. It's the Lyrica class, but the first ship that came out was the Harmonia.
Why? Do you want to know why? Ooh,
why?
Wow,
I don't know.
History.
I don't know.
The Harmonia, so there's 4 ships in that class. So the Harmonia, Symphonia, Lyrica, and Opera.
They're all about 65,000 tons, by the way.
And so the Harmonia and the Symphonia were cruise ships that they purchased, and they were former Renaissance cruise. And then one was like a Renaissance, and then Festival Cruises bought it, and then they went under. So these 2 ships were kind of acquired from MSC. Lyrica was the first ship that MSC actually built for MSC.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So those were kind of purchased already, built, and they kind of like transformed them a little bit to be what MSC wanted, but this was still very early on. So that's why it's the Lyrica class.
We have not been on the Lyrica class.
No, and these are...
I would love to go on the Lyrica class. I like smaller ships. I mean, I enjoy every cruise ship there is. Really and truly, they all got unique things. Probably my least favorite was Wonder of the Seas, just because it seemed like it was just...
Royal Caribbeans,
it didn't seem like they were...
It wasn't really for us.
It didn't feel like you were on a ship. It felt like you were in a mall.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that too much.
And you've noticed that we really haven't gone back on Royal since then.
Right.
It just doesn't fit how we like to cruise. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're really neat ships. But.
Yeah. But I enjoy, at times, that really classic feel of going on a cruise. And that's what I imagine the Lyrica class feels like. The Lyrica class feels like, because they're 65,000 tons. That is tiny.
Small. They're very small. Yeah.
I mean, you're on there with what, like 1,500 people on there?
I think it's under. I think it's under 2.
Like when it sells out, it might be closer to 2, but probably on most sailings, probably 1,500. Wow. That's like on one deck on the Wonder of the Seas.
Exactly.
That's all the people at the pool on Wonder.
Exactly. All 4 of these ships cruise the Mediterranean year round. And what was super interesting about this when I was reading about them is they're smaller ships. So they can get into ports that other ships can't. So they really focus on getting into smaller, more interesting ports instead of just like the big Barcelona, Rome, so they cruise really interesting itineraries, and they're super port intensive. So someone was saying about these ships is when you cruise on them, you don't want to be on them, which I think was a funny way to say that. They you get off.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You get off and you explore a different part of the Mediterranean every single day. And the first time Chris and I went on a port intensive cruise that I can remember, at least while we did doing the channel, is when we were on Emerald Princess, and we were doing a New England cruise.
Yes.
And there was a stop every single day. And I cannot tell you how exhausted we were when we were done with that cruise, because we tried to do everything the ship had offered and everything that all the stops did. And it was just exhausting. And so what a lot of people are saying about these ships are that you get off, you have a fun day, and it's like, it's not super complicated when you get back. There's like dining room, buffet. That's it. And then they have like one show. So there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles to these ships. They are made for kind of just exploring
they're not exploration ships, but they're smaller, so they feel a little bit more like an exploring type cruise.
You get to know more people that are on the ship because there's just so much less of them, and there's less places to be. So this is definitely, one of these ships are definitely on our bucket list to do in the Mediterranean. So
well, I would love MSC, if you're listening, and just if you're like, we want to expand even further, set up a Lyrica cruise, give us free airfare, because that's always the killer.
It is.
Set up a Lyrica cruise that goes to some of the small, out of the way ports around Japan, maybe China, that area.
Wow,
I would love that. That's like one of my dream cruises. I mean, I've got a few dream cruises.
Yeah. Japan is definitely high on our list. But I think Chris thinks of the Mediterranean as just hot.
I do.
Hot.
And it's really probably not. It's probably way nicer than the Caribbean. But whenever I think of the Mediterranean, I think
hot.
It's just, I'm just going to be hot the entire time. And me in sweaty linen, that's not something you really want to see.
No.
So, and I think that if you're in the Mediterranean, you got to wear linen, and then it's hot, so you're going to sweat in it.
So the next class is the Musica class, and they run about 92,000 gross tons for their ships.
That debuted in 2006.
Yeah, so between 2006 and 2010, they are the Musica,
the Orchestra,
the Poesa,
the
Magnifica.
And we have been on this.
We've been on the Magnifica.
Ship.
Yes.
We've been on the Magnifica.
And it was a completely different feel than any of the MSC, any really other ship that we had been on. And I think what's cool about this class, they're a little bit bigger. They have a little bit more things going on. I would say they're definitely not like family friendly cruises. They don't have the water parks. They don't have the slides. They're more, I would say, like couples or older families. You know what I mean?
If you need reading glasses, this is the ship for you.
But they were super interesting. We had a whole series on when we did the Magnifica, and the decorations were really into I don't want to say decorations, the theming was really cool for these ships. Again, super limited with options as far as dining. It was very simple. There was the dining room, the buffet, and a pizza plate, like a place to get pizza.
Well, that was part of the buffet.
And
they had like one Chinese, one specialty Oriental restaurant.
Yeah.
Did they even have a steak? Did they have a steak?
Nope.
Steakhouse on that?
Nope. There was only the one. So
I said at the time, and it still holds true, that the Magnifica was probably my favorite MSC ship that I've been on.
Yeah.
It felt
completely different feel.
It did. Yeah. It just felt comfortable and warm, and everybody was so nice, and it was beautiful. It was kind of the Art Deco theming going on everywhere, except for the T32 lounges that was somehow turned into a Terminator lounge. Everything's chrome and chromed out and looked like a robot and big. That was so weird.
Yeah.
One place on the ship that wasn't Art Deco. But I just, like you said, I think that's more, it's not for kids.
Mm-mm.
I think kids might be, they do have kids areas.
Yeah.
Every ship does. But it's very limited.
It's a lot more limited on these ships just because of space.
If your kid can have fun, be inventive,
then that would be fine.
He probably would have a good time on the ship.
Yeah.
If he needs to be constantly entertained, probably not.
Yeah. So let me tell you where they cruise. So the Musica is Mediterranean during the winter, and then actually goes to the Canary Islands, which looked like a really interesting itinerary. The orchestra is
birds everywhere
round the year in the Mediterranean. The Poesa does Northern Europe, and we've seen that a lot because we've been like trying to look for like a Norway cruise or something. But it does the northern capitals, so a lot of times it'll hit Germany, Rotterdam, Copenhagen, a lot of those. And then the Magnifica obviously splits its time between the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. So I think the summer it's in the Mediterranean, and in the winter it's here in the Caribbean. So you can usually get on one of those because they're kind of all over. So really nice. And for me, I really enjoyed the Magnifica because I kind of have FOMO. Right. So like when there's a big ship, I just always want to be, what else is there to do? What else can we do? Trying all the experiences. And Magnifica didn't have a lot of that. It had a lot of lounges where you could get a drink or pre-dinner. It had one of the best buffets that we've seen. It's just huge because that was like the main other place to eat. But it was a lot
music and everywhere.
All over. Yeah.
Everywhere was music.
And it was actually a really relaxing trip because we weren't always like, what's next? I can get like that sometimes. So I really enjoyed that smaller ship for that reason. So I think the Poesa would be a great one to do in Northern Europe.
Yeah. And I forget about these other two. The orchestra and the Musica, and they're like not that old.
It's because it's just in the Mediterranean over there. So it like doesn't cross our mind.
Like
but
when
again,
people are like, you want to go in the orchestra? And I'm like, there's a ship named Orchestra? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, does it sail like in a Romanian lake somewhere or something? Because I don't ever, you just don't hear about the orchestra.
No. But this is what we're talking about, like different experiences. So like you can cruise the Mediterranean on one of the Lyrica class or the Musica class, and you're going to get a totally different experience than when you cruise maybe on the World Europa or, one of the bigger ships, because you're going to stop at different places. You're going to have a lot more port intensive. And so that's I like that. I like always different experiences. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
This is one we don't know.
Is the Fantasia class.
Yeah, and we have not sailed on any of these.
No, and they were kind of like the Musica and the Fantasia class they almost came out at the same time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these overlap.
Yeah.
But like they just a couple years later, they started introducing this, and they still had like 2 more ships in the Musica class to come out. So
they're about 139,000 gross tons. So they're a bit bigger than the Musica class.
There's the Fantasia, the Splendida, the Divina, and the Preziosa.
So the Fantasia, if we're pronouncing that right, sails in the Mediterranean, and then it goes to South America. So South America is a pretty big expansion that they've done in the last couple years. The Splendida just sails in the Mediterranean. The Divina, as we know, sails the Mediterranean half the year and then comes to the Caribbean. A lot of you guys have sailed on the Divina and say it's really good. So the Divina has, I think this is the first class. I don't know if all of them have it, but have Yacht Club. I know that Divina has a yacht club. And then the Preziosa, again, is going to do Northern Europe, and then it goes to South America, too. So some of these smaller ships have been pretty popular in South America. So
I would like to do a South America cruise sometime also. Just because I've never really been to that. I've been to the northern tip. We went to the northern tip one time. I can't remember off of.
It was basically a Southern Caribbean cruise.
Yeah, it was a Southern Caribbean cruise, and we stopped at a port in like.
Oh, I
can't even remember.
But yeah, it's on the mainland. Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only thing I've done in South America. So I would love to go down and do a South America cruise. Although there are cruises I'd rather do before that, but
it still would be really cool. And then again, what's nice about cruising with the same cruise line is you already know what you're getting when you go there. So you're not like cruising a brand new cruise line, you know?
Exactly.
So there's that comfort level that.
I think one of the nice things about this size ship, the Fantasia class, is that you start getting into the bigger ship amenities.
Yeah. Still a small ship.
When you hit that 130,000 tons, it starts to feel a little bit bigger. So
absolutely.
You get a little bit more options of
feels more like a modern ship.
I don't know, because we haven't been on the Fantasia class.
Right.
I don't know if they have a promenade area or not.
I don't
because
believe
that's
they do.
Usually about the size where they start putting in that they can put in a big central area where they put things in. I don't know if they're on the Fantasia or not, though, to tell you the truth, because I know when you go to like the Seaside class and stuff like that, they don't really have a promenade area either. So
for us, I think we keep wanting to try the Divina, but it's only here in the winter. So maybe we could do a transatlantic or something on that. I don't know. That might be an easy yacht club to get into, though, because it's smaller and not quite as expensive. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the smaller yacht clubs, too.
Yeah, we do.
The Meraviglia.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to compare the two because they're just different experiences.
They're completely different between the Seaside class and the Meraviglia class. Yeah.
But if you put the Meraviglia class and the Seaside class in front of me and said,
which one?
Pick a yacht club.
Meraviglia.
I'd probably pick Meraviglia.
Yeah, we're both on the same page with that. Yeah. The next class is going to be the Seaside class. Technically, it's broken up into what?
The Seaside or the Meraviglia?
Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They're both kind of very similar. We can go over the Meraviglia if that's what you have next.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because Meraviglia debuted in 2017. I think Seaside was 2018.
Seaside was 2017.
Oh, okay. Well, I might have the graphics might be wrong in this.
That's okay. So the Meraviglia class, I'm going to go on a limb. I know that you say that the Magnifica was your favorite ship. For me, I think by far it's the Meraviglia is my favorite MSC ship.
I'm not discounting other ships.
I know.
When I say that.
I know.
Because I love the Meraviglia too.
I know.
But I just enjoy I enjoy the smaller ship feel, I think, than the bigger ship feel.
So the Meraviglia class are 171,000 or 175, somewhere around there, gross tonnage. And it's really broken up into two different classes, like officially. The Meraviglia cruises year-round from New York City, Brooklyn, and the Bellissima.
The best home port, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
There's so much. It's beautiful.
Cruising
in and out of New York.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do if you want to spend a couple days beforehand or afterwards cruising out of New York.
Well, it's also super easy for travel for anyone that lives in the northeast part of the country too.
Well, really anywhere. I mean, it's a longer flight from other parts of the country, but there's always flights to New York.
That's true. Yeah. Bellissima, which big time bucket list trip for us, because that one cruises Asia and Japan year round.
Yep.
So how cool would it be to have a really great ship and cruise around Japan? Like,
let's do it.
Let's book it. And then technically there's a Meraviglia Plus class that are going to include the next 3 ships. They're a little bit longer, just a little bit upgraded. And that's going to be the Grandiosa. She's currently sailing the Mediterranean, but we all know that she's going to come home port in the U.S., which I'm excited about that one because it's another Meraviglia.
Class.
Virtuoso is home ports in Southampton or England. She has all kinds of trips around northern capitals. Sometimes she'll go up to Norway, but she kind of home ports there.
Which is another great home port.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can go so many places from there. Yeah.
Exactly. It just... spending a couple days in London is it's wildly fun just to see.
And then the ships will also have a little bit of flavor for where they home port in, right? So the Bellissima is definitely going to lean a little bit more towards the Asian culture. The Virtuoso is going to lend more itself to the British culture, and then all the ones in the United States kind of lend. So I kind of like how you get that different flavor depending on which of those ships.
Right, if you go on the Bellissima. No chairs. You have to sit on the floor.
No, it's not that much.
The beds are really short.
But you would definitely get a different experience, even though it's the same class. You're cruising out of a different place, and you definitely be able to feel that on the ship. And then the last one, the Meraviglia Plus class, is the Eureka. That just came out in 2023, and it basically does Northern Europe, and then it switches to doing Dubai in the Middle East. So that's a really neat.
Dubai intrigues me.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been on my list of cruises I want to, but for some reason,
if it was a good deal,
I just don't know that part of the world.
Yeah.
My only experience of that part of the world is Eastern Turkey.
Yeah.
Which is not Dubai. The opposit of Dubai.
Absolutely.
So that kind of intrigues me. All right, you ready to move to the seaside?
How are we doing on time?
We are at 47 minutes.
We're going to quickly.
Yeah, we can go through these.
The seaside
class. Oh, I do have debuted in 2017.
Yeah, so this technically is 2 different classes as well. Go ahead.
Seaside, the namesake of the class, the Sea View, the Seashore, and the Seascape. And we've been on a couple of these.
Yeah, so the Seashore and the Seascape are technically a Seaside EVO class or an Evolution class. So they have a little bit more eco-friendly pieces and parts to it. So, but
about to say pizza. Well, eco-friendly pizza is like, what is that?
What's really cool about all 4 of these ships are they are purpose built for a tropical climate. So there's a huge amount of outdoor space, deck space, and if you've been on these ships, like some of those pools have like no shade. They're built for people who want the sun. And so that's basically, they are between the I'll just go here. The Seaside is the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. Sea View is the Mediterranean. It's going to start going to South America. Seashore is year-round from Port Canaveral, and then the Seascape is going to be going to Galveston when that opens later on this year, and it's going to be staying. So all of them are going to be very tropical.
So everybody down in the southeast, get on the Seascape because it is a beautiful ship.
Yes.
And it was going to be within a couple hours of wherever you live down there. So
another thing with these ships, they all are very, very, very similar. We've been on 2 of them, right? We've just been on 2 of them, but anyway, they look so similar. It feels exactly the same. So it can. I
literally, when I was on the Seascape, I couldn't remember which ship I was on. I literally could not remember which ship I was on. But I just want to say, these they're pretty darn close to the same size as the Meraviglia class.
Yeah.
But they feel completely different. Completely different.
And if I have to say anything negative, these ships do not have something like the Meraviglia class where it has that. The Meraviglia class has like the indoor promenade, so it feels very connected. These 4 ships can feel very separate, very separated. They're beautiful ships, but if that was a negative, I have to say I struggle to get around in those ships sometimes.
Yeah, they are big ships with more of a segmented, smaller ship design.
Yeah. There's not one space where everyone can kind of get together. They kind of have the atrium.
They have the atrium where they host a lot of things, but it's not that big. And it's fun. Like when we did the silent disco there.
Yeah.
Just because, there was probably, I don't know, maybe 600, 700 people in the silent disco.
Yeah.
But it was so packed because everybody's packing into the atrium for the silent disco. So it was just felt like just everybody on the ship was there. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a big ship. Mm-hmm. It felt segmented.
The only place where it feels big is in Yacht Club. I think Yacht Club is really big in these ships.
Yes, massive in these
ships. Huge. It's a little bit more walking distance, like to get to the lounge or to the restaurant. But the pool deck on Yacht Club is so big. I think you can really feel the space of these ships in the Yacht Club.
It feels like a big ship. Yeah. When I say it's like a smaller ship in that it's segmented more like a smaller ship, but it doesn't feel like a small ship.
No.
It does not feel like the Magnifica.
No, and there's so many places to eat. I love the
Magnifica. Both the ships that we were on, I love them. They were beautiful, but they feel like you're still on a big ship. It just feels like broken up spaces on a big ship.
Yeah. So then the last class that they have is going to be the world class. So we officially know 3 ships with a 4th on order.
Yeah. There is the
they're big ships. They're over 200,000 tons. They're not the biggest, but I really feel like these ships, because of at least what we can see or what we know from World Europa that's already out, is there's going to be some really great spaces on these ships similar to the Meraviglia class. So there's going to be these big areas, where it's not going to be as segmented.
There is the World Europa, which came out in 2022. Mm-hmm. The World America, obviously, which
are both LNG ships.
It's coming out in 2 months. We'll be on it, the inaugural, and then we've got our group cruise. Little plug there.
Yeah.
In October of this year, 2025. So we'll be back on it a second time right away. And then they've said they're going to name one the World Asia, right?
This threw me for a second because when I looked at the information on the World Asia, I actually looked on the MSC website to see what itineraries it was going to be. The World Asia, at least for now, is going to be cruising the Mediterranean.
That
was interesting.
They're naming things.
Yeah.
It doesn't I
kind of assumed it would cruise Japan and Asia, but it's not.
Like the Preziosa. There's no virus Preziosa on the ship. They just named it after a virus, Preziosa. What?
There's no virus named that.
Doesn't it sound like a name of a virus? Like I got a case of the Preziosas. So they're just naming the ship. So the World Asia, and I'm guessing
World Africa.
It's going to be World Africa, the last one. But who knows? Maybe it'll be World Middle East.
Maybe. Have they officially said they're doing another class of larger ships?
I think
was that
it
officially?
I don't know if it was officially announced, but somebody got a hold of information that they signed a contract with
for like mega ships.
Yeah, I can't remember which port or which builder it was, but anyway, that it was going to be like 260,000 or something like
ones,
that.
Yeah.
But
like if you want to cruise the Caribbean, like in the winter, you're going to have your option of smaller ships like the Divina and the Magnifica. You're going to go all the way up to the Seaside class ships, the World America. So even in the Caribbean, that's easily accessible for all of us. So many different experiences you can have.
Yeah, because you can go from that tiny ship feel to outrageously big.
Yeah.
I mean, the World America, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah. I know what you're going to say.
That it doesn't feel like a mall.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like Wonder of the Seas. I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either, because we've seen already, we can already see videos from World Europa, which it's very similar, right? And I think MSC has a better, I'm sorry, am I moving my hands? Chris is looking at me like, stop moving your hands. The World America,
I'm getting motion sickness over here.
Is going to have more space, some more deck space, more place you can see the ocean. It's going to be a lot more places than necessarily the World Wonder of the Seas was.
Yeah,
I think they just have a different viewpoint, the different cruise lines. So
I think so too. I think that MSC celebrates the ocean a little bit more than look at our giant big ship.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. We'll find out in 2 months.
That's something that's always drawn us to MSC. So because that's very similar to what we like. So
well, I'm just saying that cruise lines companies evolve.
Yeah.
So it could be that we're gonna get on the World America and go, wow, this is a big.
Maybe it's not for us. I don't know. But
boy, you guys are going to have a terrible time on the group cruise.
We're going to be all like, we don't like this ship. No, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't do that.
Oh, golly. Sorry, I just shot ourselves in the foot with that one. But we don't know. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
From what the stuff we've seen from World Europa, which are the same ship, basically, couple little things are going to be different.
Yeah,
it looks like just an incredible ship with all sorts of experiences you can do on board.
Yeah.
So the ship is probably is
the destination.
The destination. It will be for us on the inaugural. We are going to spend as much time. We're hardly going to get off.
We're going to get off probably at one port, but we're probably going to stay on for the rest.
Yeah, we want to explore the ship and experience what it's like, so that when the group cruise goes around, we can confidently say these are some things that are awesome.
Can I leak out a video that we're going to do on the inaugural?
Sure.
Something that we've never done before. We're going to purchase the Fun Pass, and we're going to spend an entire day blowing our money on everything fun that you can do. The video games, the F1 simulator, the swing, all of that stuff.
Yeah, we don't know what we can do. And
we're just going to go around and see what we can do with the Fun Pass. And we've never done that before.
What Chris ends up doing might be a little bit different than what Beth ends up doing.
No, I want to make you do it.
All right.
I want to make you do it. Anyway, it's going to be a fun one. So as we're kind of getting ready and planning our videos and stuff, I just thought that'd be a fun one to do. So, okay. Yeah. So let us know, what ship appeals to you. Do you like the smaller, more intimate? Do you like the ones that are a little bit more adventurous? Do you like the bigger ships that have more to offer? What ship is for you? The name of today's podcast. I know what ship is for me. What?
The next one we're going on.
Well, it has to be. That's all we have for this week's podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit more about all of MSC ships. We're going to wrap it up.
Yes, and I hope you guys have a great Triple T weekend.
Saturday. All right. Thanks so much. We will see you guys in our next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.